Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I make videos that explore consciousness, time, and the deeper layers of what it means to exist. So if you enjoy diving into ideas that twist your brain a little, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because there's a lot more coming your way. All right. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had the feeling that you're sitting behind your eyes, like there's a little version of you inside your head, watching the world through two tiny windows? It feels so obvious, right? Like, of course I'm the one in here, looking out. But what if you're not? What if that little watcher, the one who thinks it's in control, isn't really you at all? Today we're going to explore something that might completely change how you think about yourself: the illusion of the observer. So sit back, take a breath, and let's start with something familiar: the voice inside your head. Have you ever noticed there's a voice inside your head that never stops talking? It's there when you wake up, commenting on how tired you feel, how late you are, what today might bring. It's there when you're quiet, when you're angry, when you're pretending to listen to someone but drifting away inside your thoughts. That voice narrates your entire life. It remembers, it judges, it plans. It says, "I'm doing well today," or "I really messed that up." It even argues with itself. You might not realize how constant it is because it's been there since you were a child. It has your tone, your memories, your fears. So naturally, you assume it is you. But let's pause for a moment. Right now, as you listen to these words, can you hear that other voice in your mind reading along silently? That's the one I'm talking about. And here's the strange part. If you can hear the voice, then who's the one listening? There's something, some presence that's quietly aware of every thought that comes and goes. It doesn't speak. It doesn't move. It just watches. You might think, that's me, I'm the watcher. But look closer. That watcher can notice not only your thoughts, but your feelings too. The tightening in your chest, the rush of heat when you're embarrassed, the ache in your heart when you remember something painful. You can observe it all. So if you can observe it, it cannot be you. You can see your body, so you are not your body. You can watch your thoughts, so you are not your thoughts. You can notice your emotions, so you are not your emotions. Then what are you? Silence, awareness, the open field in which all this appears. Most people live their whole lives without realizing this. They think their inner voice is who they are, and they spend years trying to make that voice happy. They chase success, approval, love, believing that when the voice finally stops complaining, they'll be free. But the voice never stops, because that's what it does. It talks, it interprets. It fills the space with noise so that you never look at what's underneath. And underneath it all, there's only stillness. Not a void, not emptiness, but something alive. Silent, yes, but aware. Like a vast sky that's been there all along, while the voice is just another cloud drifting through it.
Most people think awakening means seeing something new, but it's not. It's about noticing what's always been here. The quiet watcher that's been listening since before you could even speak. You've never met it because you've always been it. Every thought, every word, every story your mind has told about who you are has appeared inside this awareness. And when you see that clearly, life changes in the smallest, most profound way. You still think, you still feel, you still play your role in this strange play called being human. But now, you're not trapped inside the voice anymore. You hear it, you smile, and you let it speak. Because now, you know, you're not the one talking, you're the one who's listening.
So, you've noticed the voice in your head. You've realized you can step back and watch it. For a moment, it feels like a breakthrough. You're the observer now, silent, peaceful, untouched. But here's where the mind plays its greatest trick, because now it creates a new identity, the identity of the watcher. You start to think, I'm the one observing my thoughts. I am awareness. I am the silent witness. It sounds enlightened, but look closely. You've only moved one step higher in the same illusion. There's still a you in the center of it all, still a tiny self sitting somewhere behind your eyes, watching everything unfold, claiming ownership of the watching. You've built a subtler version of the same dream. Try something right now. Close your eyes for a moment. Bring your attention inward. Try to find the observer. Not your thoughts, not your feelings, not your body. Find the one who is aware of it all. Can you? Every time you try to look at it, it slips away, because the observer isn't actually there. It was never an object to be found. It was only a thought, the idea that someone must be behind experience. But awareness doesn't need someone inside it. It just is. When you look for the observer, you find only openness. No center, no border, no person. It's like turning a flashlight to find its own light. It can't be done, because the light you're using to look is the thing you're trying to find. You are not behind your eyes. You are not hidden somewhere inside your head watching a movie of the world. You are the entire field of seeing itself. You are the world you see. There isn't a you looking at the tree. There's just seeing. The tree and the seer are one seamless movement of perception. But the mind doesn't like that. It wants something to hold on to, a center, a point of reference. It says, there has to be a me in here somewhere. So it invents the illusion of an inner witness, a tiny ghost self floating behind the eyes, separate from the rest of life. And because you believe that ghost is you, you feel isolated. You feel like you're watching life instead of living it, like you're standing behind glass looking out at a world that never quite belongs to you. But when the illusion cracks, when you finally stop looking for the watcher, everything softens. You realize that seeing, hearing, feeling, thinking, they've all been happening on their own, without anyone doing them. Awareness doesn't belong to you. It's what everything is. There's no observer inside experience, because experience itself is observing. Once that's seen, a deep peace follows, not because you found yourself, but because you stopped searching. Life doesn't need a watcher. It just unfolds, perfectly, effortlessly, like a dream that finally knows it's dreaming. You've heard it said, "Know thyself." But what does that really mean? Most people think it means to understand your personality, your habits, your strengths, your story. But that's not knowing yourself, that's knowing your costume. The real question is far simpler and infinitely harder. Who is the one that knows? Let's look together. Right now, become aware that you are aware. Don't think about it, just notice. There's an awareness here, clear and undeniable. You are conscious. You are present. Now look for where that awareness begins. Is it behind your eyes? Inside your chest? Somewhere in your head? Try to find the spot where you are located. If you look carefully, you'll notice something strange. There's no fixed point. There's seeing, but no seer. There's hearing, but no hearer. Thoughts arise, but no thinker can be found. You might notice sensations in your body, a tingling in your hands, the weight of gravity pulling you down, the rhythm of your breath. But you are aware of those sensations. They appear to you. They're not you. Keep looking. Can you find the boundary between what's inside you and what's outside? Where does you end and the world begin? If you trace it all the way, you'll find that the line doesn't exist. The sound of the birds, the light through the window, the pulse of your heart, they all arise in the same seamless field. It's like watching waves on the surface of an ocean. At first, you see separate shapes, each one moving on its own, but then you realize it's all one body of water, just expressing itself in different forms. You are that ocean. The looker you've been trying to find was never sitting behind your eyes. It was the vast awareness that includes everything you see. When you walk into a forest, you don't end where your skin ends. You blend into the air, the sound, the smell of the trees. You are the forest, briefly pretending to be a person walking through it. But the mind will resist this. It will keep whispering, "There has to be a me in here somewhere." And when you go looking for it, all you ever find is more thought, another layer of imagination, another mask. You can't see the looker because the looker isn't an object. It's the seeing itself. The moment you realize this, something profound happens. The center of your experience disappears, but instead of feeling empty, you feel infinite, weightless, free. You were never the observer, and you were never the observed. You were the whole movement of seeing, the dance between the two. That's why the sages say, the one who seeks the self is the self appearing as a seeker. When the search ends, only silence remains, and in that silence, everything is whole again. When you stop searching for the observer,
something strange begins to happen. For a moment, there's peace, a quiet openness. Everything just is. And then it returns. The mind whispers, "Okay, that was nice, but what do I do next?" And just like that, the mirage forms again. The I reappears as if nothing happened. It tells its story again. I'm this person. I have these goals. I've been through these things. It rebuilds the walls you just saw through. The self doesn't exist as a solid thing. It's an ongoing process, a flickering image, constantly refreshed, like frames of a movie appearing one after another, so fast that you mistake motion for reality. The I is the same, a chain of memories and reactions, stitched together by thought and replayed so smoothly that you believe there's a continuous you behind it all. But stop the movie for even a second, and the illusion falls apart. You can feel it, can't you? That subtle fear of disappearing, the pull to turn back to something solid, to something that feels like me. That's the mind's survival instinct. It isn't evil, it's ancient. It evolved to keep the body safe. But the problem is, the map it draws of you isn't real anymore. The I it protects is just a thought pattern, a looping narrative that says, "This is who I am. This is where I begin and end." And yet, if you look at any single moment of your life, that you never really existed there. There was only the experience, the seeing, the hearing, the feeling. Everything else was a story added after. It's like looking at waves and believing each one is a separate being with a name and a destiny. The wave rises, it calls itself me, and when it falls, it mourns its own end, forgetting that it was never separate from the ocean at all. That's the mirage of self. It looks real from a distance, but when you walk toward it, it vanishes into light and heat. And yet, it reappears again and again, because you're still walking through the desert of thought. But here's the secret. You don't have to destroy the mirage. You only need to know it's a mirage. Once you see it for what it is, you can still play the game of being human. You can still say, I. You can still laugh, fall in love, make mistakes, tell your story. But deep down, you know the story isn't you. It's a beautiful mask worn by something vast and timeless. And every time the mask slips, every time the illusion flickers, you catch a glimpse of what's behind it, the quiet, boundless awareness that never came and never left. That's what you've been all along. The self wasn't a prison after all. It was a reflection on water, pointing back to the ocean beneath. Look around you for a moment. Everything you see, the walls, the trees, the sky, the stars, all appear within a single field of knowing. You might think, I'm standing here, looking out at the world. But where exactly is that here? If you try to find the edge of your awareness, you can't. There's no boundary where you end and the rest of existence begins. Consciousness doesn't sit inside your head like a light bulb behind your eyes. That's just another image, another idea your mind paints to feel safe. In truth, there is no inside or outside, no subject or object, only experience, arising and fading in an endless sea of awareness. It's strange to think that science once believed there was a real center to the universe, that everything revolved around Earth, that there was an origin point from which all else expanded. But then we looked deeper. We realized that every point in space looks like the center when viewed from itself. The cosmos has no middle, no edge. It is infinite in every direction. And the same is true of consciousness. Every thought, every sound, every flicker of light you perceive appears at the center of awareness, and yet there are infinite centers. Because consciousness doesn't occupy space. It gives space meaning. When you stop imagining yourself as a small being trapped inside a body, something extraordinary happens. The boundaries dissolve. You don't expand into the universe expands into you. The clouds drift within you. The moon hangs within you. Every star that has ever burned burns inside the same vast field of awareness that's hearing these words right now. You've never been separate from it. You were never a fragment searching for the whole. You were the whole, momentarily dreaming itself as a fragment. When consciousness sees this, it laughs, because it realizes it was chasing its own tail the entire time. All the suffering, all the seeking, all the longing to find something beyond was just the infinite pretending not to recognize itself. And in that moment of recognition, everything becomes simple again. You don't have to reach enlightenment. You don't have to stop your thoughts. You don't have to hold still or travel to some sacred mountain. You only have to notice that you've never left the vastness. The body may age, the mind may change, the story may twist and turn, but the awareness behind it all has never moved an inch. That's what you are. Not a point inside the world, but the field in which the world appears. A consciousness without a center, without a name, without an edge. And in that realization, everything becomes whole again.
Imagine standing on a quiet hill at sunrise. The air is still, the light soft, the world unfolding like it's being born for the first time. You feel the wind brush across your skin, but for once you don't call it my skin. You don't call it the wind. It's just movement, a single continuous dance. For a brief, wordless moment, there's no you watching the sunrise. There's only sunrise, only seeing, only warmth, only presence. That's what it means to be the field, not the point. You are not a small creature living inside the universe. You are the space in which the universe happens. Everything you experience, sight, sound, thought, emotion, rises and falls within this vast field of awareness that you truly are. You've been told all your life that you are a point, a single dot in space, a collection of thoughts and memories packed inside a body. But that point is only a reference, an convenient illusion the mind uses to navigate the infinite. In truth, you're not inside the universe at all. The universe is inside you. When you look at a mountain, it's not out there. It's an image, a vibration, appearing within consciousness. When you hear the laughter of someone you love, the sound doesn't travel to you. It arises as you. Even the thought, "I am hearing this sound," appears later, a tiny echo in the vast silence of being. That's the real shift. Not something you do, but something you notice. You stop living as a point trying to grasp the field. You realize you are the field, temporarily expressing itself as a point of view. It's like the ocean pretending to be a single wave. For a time, the wave believes it's separate. It has a beginning and an end, a rise and a fall. But when the wave looks deeply, it sees that every crest and curve is made of the same water as everything else. And in that instant, it remembers, I was never separate. I was never just a wave. You've spent your whole life believing you were the wave, the individual mind, the isolated consciousness peering out from behind your eyes. But now you can feel it. You're not standing inside awareness. Awareness is standing inside you. The body moves, the mind thinks, life unfolds, and you, the field, allow it all. You don't control the waves. You simply are the ocean in which they move. That realization changes everything. Fear begins to lose its grip, because fear only exists for the point, the wave afraid of ending, the small self trying to hold on. But the field never ends. It never began. It doesn't come and go with time. It's what allows time to appear. That's why you can sit in silence and feel infinite, even when your body is small, even when the world feels uncertain, because the field is always here. It's been here since before your first memory, and it will remain after your last breath dissolves into stillness. When you truly see this, you stop struggling to belong. You stop searching for meaning outside yourself, because you realize everything that exists is already within you. The laughter, the storms, the endless symphony of life. You are the stage on which the play unfolds, the silent witness, and the actor, the light, and the shadow it moves through. You are not in the universe. The universe is inside you. And when you live from that knowing, life stops being a chase. It becomes a dance, a spontaneous movement of the infinite, playing with its own reflection.
You've seen through the illusion of the voice. You've seen through the illusion of the watcher. You've seen through the illusion of a center. But there's still one more layer. Even after awakening to awareness, the mind builds one last refuge, a final identity. It says, all right, maybe I'm not the voice in my head. Maybe I'm not this body. Maybe I'm not even this story, but I am awareness. I am the one who watches. And for a while, that feels true. It feels pure. It feels peaceful, like you've finally come home. But even that is still a subtle boundary, because if there's someone watching, then there's still something being watched. There's still two, a quiet, sacred separation between awareness and the world it perceives. Now watch what happens when that boundary dissolves. Sit quietly for a moment. Feel your breath. Notice the rhythm. The breath moves by itself. You don't make it happen. It just flows. Thoughts arise by themselves. You don't summon them. They appear and disappear like sparks in the dark. Sounds reach you from everywhere, and even you, the one who's supposed to be hearing them, is nowhere to be found. When you stop trying to watch, watching continues. When you stop trying to breathe, breathing continues. Life doesn't need a witness. It witnesses itself. There's no separate inner watcher sitting behind your eyes, no consciousness detached from experience. There is only this, the sound, the breath, the pulse of being. And the beautiful thing is, when the watcher falls, nothing is lost. In fact, for the first time, nothing is missing. You realize that the entire effort to be aware was awareness playing hide-and-seek with itself. The game was never about finding something new. It was about remembering that there was never anyone lost. The fall of the inner watcher is not a tragedy. It's liberation. Because when there's no one left to stand apart from life, you become life itself. You no longer look at the river. You are the river. You no longer hear the song. You are the song. You no longer watch the sunrise. You are the light spilling over the horizon. The one who was watching has disappeared, and in that disappearance, everything becomes infinitely intimate. No more observer, no more observed, only seeing, only being. That's when you realize you were never trying to wake up. You were what was awake all along. The watcher didn't fall. It simply opened its eyes and saw there was never a wall to stand behind. Just this, right here, right now. Perfect, whole, unbound. Once the inner watcher dissolves, life doesn't end. It begins again, quietly, simply, beautifully. But this time, something has changed. You still think, you still feel, you still have preferences, memories, ambitions. The difference is, you no longer believe they define you. Thoughts arise like ripples in a pond, but you don't chase them anymore. You watch them shimmer, fade, and disappear into stillness. You no longer take your moods personally. Sadness visits, joy visits, anger visits, but none of them stay long because there's no one trying to make them stay. You begin to see that the mind is just weather. Sometimes it rains, sometimes it storms, sometimes it's clear and bright. But the sky never changes. And now you know that you are the sky. The world still happens. The body still acts. You still answer emails, miss appointments, fall in love, make mistakes. But all of it happens in a kind of lightness,
a deep sense of okayness that doesn't depend on what's happening. Because you've seen the truth. You were never the character in the story. You were the awareness in which the story appeared. Even the thought, "I am enlightened," is just another wave on the surface of being. It comes, it goes. You smile at it and let it drift away. When you stop identifying with thought, something profound happens. You stop resisting life. Because all resistance comes from wanting reality to be different than it is. But the moment you see you are not your thoughts, you stop fighting what's already happening. You don't need to control life. You just live it, spontaneously, effortlessly. It's not passivity, it's harmony. The same kind of effortless harmony that makes birds migrate, oceans move, and stars burn. You're no longer standing apart from existence. You're part of its rhythm, its pulse, its music. When you speak, it's life speaking through you. When you walk, it's life walking in its own form. You start to notice beauty in the simplest things, a raindrop trembling on a leaf, the sound of footsteps in the night, the pause between two breaths. Each moment feels sacred, not because it's special, but because it's real, completely, utterly real. And when you meet others, something changes there too. You stop seeing people as stories. You start seeing them as yourself. Different faces, same awareness looking back. You listen differently. You love differently. Because you're not loving from yourself. You're loving as yourself, which means everything. There's a quiet humility in that realization. You don't feel superior. You don't feel detached. You just feel free. Free to be nobody. Free to be everybody. Free to let the world flow through you without clinging to a single drop. That's what it means to live beyond thought and identity. It's not about escaping life. It's about being so fully here that nothing needs to be escaped. The thoughts still come, but now they're like waves breaking on the shore of something vast and silent. And that vastness is you.
When the veil of identity falls away, something astonishing begins to dawn. You realize that awareness isn't happening in you. Awareness is happening as everything. The wind brushing the trees, the hum of distant traffic, the soft pulse of your heartbeat. They're not separate events being observed by you. They are the observation itself. It's as if reality has been looking at itself through a billion eyes, each one calling itself me. The bird singing at dawn, that's awareness singing. The river carving through stone, that's awareness flowing. The stars burning in the dark, awareness shining in its own endless light. Everything is watching everything else, and it has been since the first light burst into being. We call it evolution, we call it motion, we call it time, but underneath all of it, it's the same silent seeing, forever becoming what it beholds. For so long you believed consciousness was personal, a flicker trapped behind your skull, but now you see that it was never yours at all. The tree doesn't have less awareness than you. It's just awareness shaped as a tree. The mountain doesn't think, but it is stillness itself, a form of presence so vast the mind can't measure it.
Even the storm has its own kind of consciousness, chaotic, wild, yet perfectly in tune with the rhythm of the whole. And you are one of the ways the universe sees itself. You are one of its eyes, a window in the infinite, briefly open to the play of form. Everywhere you look, it's the same awareness meeting itself. When two people gaze into each other's eyes, it's not two separate beings connecting. It's one consciousness recognizing itself in another disguise. When you look at the ocean looks back. When you listen to the wind listens too. There's no longer an observer and the observed, only an eternal conversation between the formless and the form. That's why everything feels alive now. The world isn't made of matter, it's made of meaning. Each sound, each light, each breath is the universe whispering its own name. You are not a detached spectator. You are an event in the great unfolding, a single shimmering movement of the cosmos becoming aware of itself. And that awareness has no hierarchy. It doesn't prefer galaxies over grass blades or stars over stones. Each is equally sacred, equally essential to the whole. Because the universe doesn't need to be watched. It is watching. It is alive. And now, for the first time, you feel that aliveness from the inside out. You don't just see the world. You feel it seeing you, breathing you, being you. And in that wordless exchange, the final boundary dissolves. You stop standing apart from existence. You melt back into it, the watcher and the watched, the sound and the silence, the dream and the dreamer, all one. This is not philosophy, it's the simplest truth. Everything watches itself. Everything is itself. And so, after all the searching, all the peeling away, all the questions and the looking, you arrive here. Not somewhere new, not in some higher state, just here, where you've always been. Listen. Beneath the noise of thought, beneath the hum of the body, beneath even the rhythm of your breath, there is a stillness. It doesn't begin, it doesn't end, it doesn't move, yet everything moves within it. That stillness is not something you enter, it's what you've never left. It was here before your first memory. It was here during every joy, every heartbreak, every moment you thought you were lost. It's the silence between your words, the pause between your breaths, the space through which every star shines. You've spent a lifetime trying to become someone, to define yourself, to fix yourself, to find yourself. But the truth is beautifully simple. There was never anyone to become. There was only this stillness, pretending to be a person, dreaming a dream called my life. And even now, as you hear these words, you can feel that quiet presence underneath them, the awareness that listens without effort. That's you. Not the voice, not the watcher, not the story, but the vast, motionless clarity in which all stories rise and fall.
It doesn't think, it doesn't judge, it doesn't need to understand. It simply is. When you rest in that, the world doesn't disappear. It becomes luminous. Every sound glows. Every face feels sacred. Every heartbeat echoes with infinity. Because the stillness is not apart from the world. It is the world seen without the fog of identity. You can call it consciousness, or awareness, or God, or simply home. The names don't matter. They're just ripples on the same ocean. What matters is this quiet recognition that you were never behind your eyes. You were never inside your body. You were never the one watching. You were the whole thing, the seeing and the seen, the sound and the silence, the dream and the awakening. So now, let everything be as it is. Let thought rise and fall. Let life move through you. Let the story continue. But know that none of it can touch the stillness that you are. That stillness is peace. That stillness is love. That stillness is you.
If you made it this far, thank you. I know this one got a little deep, but if it made you stop and think, give the video a like. Drop a comment and tell me what you felt. And if you haven't already, subscribe for more content like this. Until then, stay curious and stay aware.